Imagine living in a quiet suburban neighborhood where everything seems perfect. You wake up each day surrounded by your loving family, two beautiful children who light up your life, and a partner who seems to cherish you. You share the highs and lows of life, capturing special moments on social media to show the world just how lucky you are. On the surface, everything looks ideal. But then one day, you vanish. No calls, no messages, just gone. Your neighbors grow concerned, the police get involved, and slowly, the horrifying truth starts to surface. The person you trusted the most, the one who was supposed to protect you and your children, is hiding something unthinkable. What happened behind closed doors? How does a seemingly perfect life turn into an absolute nightmare? Welcome to That's My Opinion. I'm Bacon Bears, and today we are diving into one of the most haunting and tragic stories in recent history, the case of Chris and Shanann Watts. Join me as we explore the events leading up to that fateful day when everything changed, the chilling details that emerged, and the devastating impact on their loved ones. This is not just a story of a family. It's a cautionary tale about trust, deception, and the complexities of human relationships. If you like what you see here, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. In 2010, a Facebook request notification shows up in Shanann's Facebook account, and it's a man she doesn't know, but she thought, what the heck? I'm never going to meet him anyways, and she pressed accept. 2 years after connecting on Facebook, they were married in a beautiful ceremony in North Carolina, and by 2013, their lives seemed even more perfect when they welcomed their first child, a beautiful baby girl named Bella Marie Watts. Shanann couldn't have been more thrilled to become a mother. She had poured every single ounce of her love and energy into caring for Bella. She was the light of Shanann's life, and motherhood became her greatest joy. In 2015, their family grew once again with the birth of Celeste, who they called CC, Celeste Catherine Watts. And having battled lupus, Shanann knew the journey to motherhood wasn't always easy, which made the arrival of a second child feel like a true miracle. To her, Bella and Cece were blessings beyond words, and she cherished every moment with her girls, filling their home with laughter, love, and devotion. But as many families, life wasn't always smooth, because by 2015, the couple hit a rough patch. Chris and Shanann Watts filed for bankruptcy. They were drowning in credit card debt, student loans, and medical bills. They had a $3,000 mortgage, $600 car payments, and mounting expenses weighed heavily on their shoulders. Financial strain is something many marriages endure, and in their case, I can only imagine that it added a crippling layer of stress to their relationship. But despite the challenges they had faced, by 2018, the Watts family appeared to have regained a sense of stability. Chris held a steady job at Anadarko Petroleum, and Shanann Watts was thriving in her online business, which was part of a multi-level marketing MLM venture. Her success in this field stemmed not just from her hard work, but from her ability to connect with others on a personal level. Shanann shared her journey openly, documenting both her personal and her family life, which resonated with many. Her willingness to discuss her struggles and triumphs made her relatable to her audience, creating a genuine connection with those who followed her. This online presence led to an abundance of family footage, showcasing the joy and the love within their home, further painting the picture of a family that seemed to have weathered the storm and found their footing once again. And in June of that year, Shanann excitedly surprised Chris with the news that they were expecting their third child, a baby boy that they would name Nico. But in the now infamous video Shanann shared on Facebook of her joyful announcement, something felt off. While Shanann was glowing with happiness, Chris's reaction was unsettling. He didn't look excited. He didn't look happy. Instead, his surprise carried an ominous weight, as though this news wasn't the blessing she had hoped it would be for him. Little did anyone know that this moment captured for the world to see what would be the first sign of the heartbreaking tragedy that was soon to unfold. With the benefit of hindsight, we now understand why Chris's reaction to the news of a new baby was far from joyful. Because while Shanann was glowing with excitement at home, looking forward to the future with their growing family, Chris's life was taking a much darker turn. A parallel story was unfolding, one that Shanann knew nothing about. At work, a new romance was brewing between Chris and a woman named Nichol Kessinger. What started as casual conversations between coworkers quickly escalated, and in just a matter of weeks, their connection deepened, leading to their first meeting outside of the office. While Shanann is at home preparing for the arrival of their baby boy, Chris was slipping further away from the life that they had built together. What should have been a time of joy and excitement for their family was now tainted by secrets and betrayal. Chris's affair with Nichol Kessinger escalated very quickly. In what seemed like no time at all, they were seeing each other 4 or 5 times a week. Their relationships became intense early on, with Chris telling Nichol allegedly that he was almost divorced. A lie that couldn't have been further from the truth. In July, while Shanann and the girls traveled to North Carolina to visit the family, Chris stayed behind, using this time to deepen his relationship with Nichol. Because priorities. He even tells Nichol allegedly that the divorce is finalized, though his marriage to Shanann was still very much intact. According to a report from Insider, July was a turning point in their affair. Nichol visited Chris's home for the first time on July 4th. Shanann reached out to Chris in a text on July 10th, desperate to understand what was happening. "Are you okay?" she asked. "It's like you don't want to talk. I kept trying to talk to you and I had to dig it out of you." Chris's response was cold yet reassuring on the surface. "I'm fine, baby. The last few days of work have put a lot of responsibility on me with new people." "I didn't mean to seem so short, boo. I love you to the moon and back," he replied. But Shanann knew something was missing. Her husband was slipping away from her, emotionally detached, and in a heartbreaking admission, she texted him, "I wish my husband wanted to talk to me." On July 14th, Chris and Nichol went on a date to Shelby American Collection Car Museum, and by the end of the month, things were even more intense. But as the trip continued for Shanann, her feelings of isolation only deepened. She texted Chris again while he was back in Colorado, pouring out her frustrations. "I realized during this trip what's missing in our relationship. It's only one way with emotions and feelings. I can't come back like this. I need you to meet me halfway. You don't consider others at all, nor think about others' feelings." And then on July 28th, Chris and Nichol spend the night together at Great Sand Dunes National Park, with Shanann texting, "Again, I try to give you space, but you are working and living the bachelor life. I'm carrying our third and fighting with our 2 kids daily and trying to work and make money. It's not hard texting, 'I love you and miss you.' If you don't mean it, then I get it. But we need to talk. I kept looking at my phone all night and no response from you. Like, seriously. We didn't just start dating yesterday. We've been together 8 years and have 2.5 kids together." And then on July 30th, Chris gives Nichol a love note right before he boards a plane to join his wife and his daughters in North Carolina for their family vacation. While Shanann believed Chris was coming to reconnect with his family, his heart was somewhere else entirely, and Nichol Kessinger is shopping for wedding dresses. Yuck. When Chris finally arrived in North Carolina to join Shanann and the girls, it didn't take long for her to sense that something was up, but she couldn't quite put her finger on why. But it wasn't just tension with Chris that weighed on her heart. There was also conflict with his parents, adding another layer of stress to their family trip. In the beginning of August, they come back to Colorado. And then on August 9th, 2018, Shanann leaves for a business trip to Arizona, leaving Chris at home with their 2 daughters. But instead of being the father that he should be, on August 11th, he hires a babysitter so that he could go out on a date with Nichol Kessinger. That's right. And then August 13th comes, a day that would mark the beginning of unimaginable tragedy. At approximately 1:48 a.m., Shanann was seen walking toward the front door of her home, exhausted from her trip, and she had just been dropped off by her friend Nicole Atkinson, who had given her a ride home. And what should have been a moment of relief returning home to her family, would instead become the last time anyone saw Shanann alive. And according to Chris Watts, whose story has changed multiple times, he claims that the tragic events of that morning unfolded as follows. And since he's the only one in the house left alive, we are forced to piece together what happened based on his accounts, even though they are riddled with inconsistencies. Chris states that as he was getting ready for work, he felt the need to have a serious conversation with Shanann about their marriage and future. And despite her being 15 weeks pregnant with their son, he told her about his affair with Nichol Kessinger, and he expressed his desire for a divorce. Shanann, obviously and rightfully devastated by the revelation, allegedly responds by telling Chris that he would never see their children again. In his version, and I say that very heavily, in his version, this triggered a blind rage within him, and he claims that in that moment, he strangled her to death. But the horror doesn't stop there. Their 4-year-old daughter Bella walked into the room and, seeing her mommy unresponsive, innocently asks, "What's wrong with mommy?" And in a panic, Chris wrapped Shanann's body in a blanket, carried her to his truck, and placed her in the back seat, with Bella and 3-year-old Celeste sitting next to their mother's lifeless body, and he drove them to his work site at Anadarko Petroleum. Now, I just want to take a quick sidestep and let you know about another story or another version that Chris has told, which is that he actually tried to unalive his children first and then Shanann, which blows the unbridled rage right out the window, because that's clearly premeditated. And then what happened when he was strangling Shanann was that Bella had woken up, that she wasn't gone at that point, and that shocked Chris, and he kind of had to scramble and figure out what to do. There are many different versions of this story. I think it was absolutely premeditated. I don't think there was any blind rage at all, but this is just one of the versions that he tells. Once they get to the work site at Anadarko Petroleum, Chris then claims that he smothered Celeste, and then he placed her body into one of the oil tanks on site, and then he turned to Bella, who at just 4 years old is said to have absolutely fought and pleaded for her life from her father. Not only that, but I think it was about a 45-minute trip from the house to Anadarko. He had so much time in between to not do any of this to his daughters, but he didn't. He just kept moving forward. Chris then smothers Bella and placed her in a separate oil tank. And then finally, he buried Shanann's body in a shallow grave nearby. And then on August 13 at 5:15 a.m., Chris claims that he went to work, and it was reported from the people at work that he was normal, just as Chris usually is at work. But Chris Watts severely underestimated the people who loved and cared for Shanann. One of those people close to her, her friend Nicole Atkinson, the one who dropped her off the night before. On the morning of August 13th, Nicole knew Shanann had an important doctor's appointment, and when Shanann didn't respond to several calls and texts, Nicole immediately grew concerned. Because Shanann's lack of response was completely out of character. She had her phone glued to her at all times, because not only did she just always have her phone on her, but her life was social media. That's how she became so successful with her business. She documented everything. And Shanann was a type A kind of person. If she had a doctor's appointment, she was going. Sensing that something was terribly wrong, by 1:40 p.m., Nicole made a call that would set everything into motion. Nicole called and asked police for a welfare check on Shanann, and when police officers finally gained access to the house, they found Shanann's phone, keys, and purse still inside. Everything that she would need for her day was in that house, untouched. Chris tells Nicole and the police that Shanann mentioned she was going to a friend's house with the kids. They had a play date, but this explanation was vague, and it didn't add up. Not only was all of Shanann's stuff still in the house, but Shanann's car was still parked at the house with both of the girls' car seats inside. As a mother, whenever I take my kids anywhere, even to the park, I always have my phone on me, because what if there's an emergency? Number one. Number two, if I'm going to a friend's house and I'm transporting them, I need my purse because I need my wallet. They have to be in their car seats. Seems interesting to me. In an attempt to maintain his facade, on August 14th, Chris appeared on Denver's ABC affiliate pleading for the return of his wife and his daughters. He goes on to say, Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. If somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete with anybody here. Please bring them back. And I can tell you personally that I have seen this footage time and time and time again. This was the most awkward, uncomfortable, fidgety. It's bizarre to watch, honestly. By August 15th, Chris agreed to take a polygraph test, a decision that would ultimately unravel his web of lies because he fails that test. In a moment of false vulnerability, Chris confesses to his father and then to the police that he, in fact, killed Shanann. But even then, Chris couldn't bring himself to fully tell the truth. Instead, he spun yet another lie, claiming that he killed Shanann only after she smothered their two daughters, painting her as the monster in the story. A cruel twist to a tragedy already filled with unimaginable betrayal. It wasn't enough for him to take their lives. No. He sought to also take away Shanann's dignity, even in death. Scum. On August 16th, 2018, the grim discovery was made. The bodies of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were found at Chris's worksite. The news sent shockwaves through the community, and the reality of the horrifying tragedy began to sink in. That same day, Chris appeared in Weld County Court for a bond hearing, where he was denied bail, leaving him to confront the consequences of his actions. As the investigation unfolded, Nichol Kessinger spoke to the police, revealing her perspective on Chris. And in a chilling statement, she remarks, I have so many thoughts on Nichol, but the fact that she would say this, and I quote, to police, I legitimately think his cheese was sliding off his cracker long before he met me. Which is funny because you were searching wedding dresses and wanting to marry him. Her words suggested a deep-seated instability in Chris long before the affair began, hinting at a complexity to his character that would only be revealed in the coming days. On August 21st of 2018, just a week after his emotional plea for the safe return of his wife and daughters, Chris Watts faced the harsh reality of his actions when he was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. The charges were particularly heinous, given that 2 of the victims, his daughters, Bella and Celeste, were both under 12 years old. In addition to the murder charges, Chris faced another count for the unlawful termination of a pregnancy, as Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with their son. And the gravity of his crimes continued to mount with 3 additional counts for tampering with a body, bringing the total to 9 charges. On September 1st of 2018, the community gathered to honor the lives of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste at their funeral held at Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Pinehurst, North Carolina. The ceremony was a poignant tribute filled with love and remembrance, beginning with a heartfelt rendition of Amazing Grace. Chris Watts was never mentioned during the service, a silence that spoke volumes about the gravity of his actions and the pain he had inflicted on so many. Instead, the focus remained on the love and joy that Shanann and her daughters had brought to the lives of those who knew them. The priest read a touching statement from Shanann's father. You are nothing but pure love, always caring for everyone. You will always be Daddy's little girl. His words encapsulated the profound loss felt by family and friends, a reminder that while Chris may have taken their lives, the love for Shanann, Bella, and Celeste would forever endure. On November 6th of 2018, Chris Watts stood before the court where he pleaded guilty to all 9 criminal counts against him. In a moment that echoed the profound loss experienced by Shanann's family, they requested that the death penalty not be pursued, a decision rooted in their desire to honor the memory of their loved ones rather than seek vengeance. Just 2 weeks later, on November 19th, 2018, Chris was sentenced to life in prison. Judge Marcelo Kopkow described the murder spree as perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime I have handled out of the thousands of cases I have seen. And in his sentencing, the judge issued 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, which included 48 years for the unlawful termination of Shanann's pregnancy and 36 years for the disposal of his family's bodies. On that same day, Shanann's parents took legal action, filing for wrongful death against Chris. But of all of this, I still feel that this case has yet to be closed. Because in my opinion, that Miss Nichol Kessinger, who has now changed her name and gone into hiding, had more to do with this case than just an extramarital affair. Let's discuss some of Nichol Kessinger's internet searches, shall we? Can cops trace text messages? Man I'm having an affair with says he'll leave his wife. Which is very interesting to me because didn't Chris allegedly tell you that his divorce was finalized? You're not having an affair if the other person isn't married. She also searched Google on topics related to marrying your mistress. You are not a mistress if the person you are seeing is not married. So which one is it? And this might be one of my personal favorites. After Shanann, Celeste, and Bella were found deceased, Nichol Kessinger searches topics related to Amber Fry, somebody we've also covered on this channel, somebody who was also a mistress, except there's a big difference between Miss Amber Fry and Nichol Kessinger. Amber Fry was completely unaware that Lacey Peterson even existed. And as soon as she found out what happened, she went to the police and she set up Scott and she did everything that she could to bring down Scott because she knew that he was an absolute monster. But instead, Nichol Kessinger searched Amber Fry's book deal, Amber Fry's net worth, and do people hate Amber Fry? And no, we do not, because Amber Fry is a girl's girl. If you're not going to get Chris Watts out of this whole thing, why not just worry about making a quick buck, right? In my opinion, I think that she played a much bigger part in this whole thing. If you guys want me to do more of a deep dive into Nichol Kessinger, please let me know in the comments down below. But as we reflect on this tragic case of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, and the devastating actions of Chris Watts, there are several poignant lessons to take away. First and foremost, it's a stark reminder of the importance of recognizing the signs of emotional distress and the complexities of relationships that may appear perfect on the surface. Behind closed doors, struggles with mental health, financial strain, and emotional disconnection can fester and even lead to unimaginable consequences. Additionally, this case highlights the need for open communication within families and the significance of seeking help when faced with personal challenges. It emphasizes the impact that love and support from friends and family can have, as seen through the unwavering dedication of Shanann's loved ones. Finally, it serves as a call to action for all of us to advocate for mental health awareness and support those in need. Every life is valuable, and by fostering understanding and compassion, we can try to help prevent such tragedies in the future. In memory of Shanann, her daughters, and little baby Nico, let us honor their lives by promoting kindness, empathy, and the importance of community support in our own lives. That's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Stay safe. That's my opinion, and I will see you next time.